KJ Duff might be one of the most unique wide receiver evaluations going into this college football season. 6'6", former top player in New York, left high school at St. Anthony's as the all-time leader in receptions, yards, and touchdowns, and in 2025 became the centerpiece of Rutgers' passing game. 60 catches, 1,084 yards, 7 touchdowns, and second team All Big Ten, and a monster game against Purdue where he went for 241 yards on just 6 catches. But the reason this evaluation is interesting is because Duff does not win like a burner. He wins with size, timing, body control, contested catches, and box out technique. The question is whether that translates when the NFL corners are longer, faster, and more physical. So today, we're going to break down why KJ Duff is my wide receiver 5, why the production is real, why the contested catch profile is special, and what he has to prove in 2026 to climb even higher. Before we get into that, make sure you hit the like button, follow, subscribe, and we're going to keep putting in this work with Draft Yoda. Our goal is over 100 prospects before the college football season kicks off, and we are well on our way. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Draft Yoda, where we're data-driven and prospect-focused. Today, we're breaking down Rutgers wide receiver KJ Duff. Duff comes in at an 8.88 out of 10, currently making him number 58 overall, wide receiver 5, going into this college football season. And he's not a tiny separator. He's not a screen merchant. He's not a gadget player. He is a big target, a huge target. 6'6", man. He's a receiver who wins above the rim, works the intermediate areas, boxes out defensive backs, and catches throws that most receivers don't even have a chance to make, And for Rutgers, he's not just a piece. He is the passing game. Defenses know the ball is going to him. They build coverage plans around him. They've tried being physical with him. They try to make him win in traffic. And he still produced over 1,000 yards. That matters. KJ Duff started out at St. Anthony's in Melville, New York. And he wasn't just a good player there. He became one of the best players in the history of the entire program of that school. He left as their all-time leader in receptions, receiving yards, and touchdowns. That is a receiver resume if I've ever seen one. It's not just a great season. It's not just a few highlight catches. That is a new standard for the program. As a recruit, he was a 4-star prospect, top-rated player in the state of New York in the 2024 class. He was recruited by Texas, Miami, North Carolina, and a ton of other schools. But he decided to go to Rutgers. And that's because Rutgers doesn't always land, that kind of recruiting profile. It shocked a few people. When local or regional talent of this kind and size chooses Rutgers, it's a big deal for that program. And as a true freshman, he played all 13 games, started 4, got 27 passes, 425 yards, and a touchdown. That was decent decent freshman season for him, especially in the Big Ten, especially at Rutgers. He ranked 4th among Big Ten true freshmen in receiving yards. 9th in the conference in yards per catch. And that tells you he's not just catching, short, empty targets. He's already making chunk plays as a freshman. 2025 comes around, starts all 12 games, and the production really took off. 60 receptions, 1,084 yards, 7 touchdowns. Became the seventh Scarlet Knight ever to break 1,000 yards in a season. And that's major. Rutgers had some NFL players before. Rutgers football has had tough physical teams, but 1,000-yard receiving seasons don't happen there every year. and Duff put himself into program history doing so. Second team All Big Ten honors, um, landed on the Balishnikov Award watch list, and a lot of people expected that he would leave Rutgers and go to one of these bigger programs so that he could, accelerate his draft profile. But instead, he stayed at Rutgers. And that's huge for the Scarlet Knights because their top offensive weapon is back. And it gives them a chance to take the next step forward as a school. The Purdue game really stands out. 6 catches, 200, 241 yards, a 72-yard touchdown, second highest single game receiving total in Rutgers history. It's a monster game. And it shows what can happen when Duff gets rolling. He doesn't need 15 catches to wreck a defense. He can flip a field with big plays. He can win downfield when the matchup is right. And he can dominate at the catch point. 241 yards on 6 catches isn't normal. It's not just volume, it's impact. And it's the kind of game that changes how defense coordinators talk about you. It's very obvious what makes him special at 6'6". That's not a trait you can teach. He looks different lining up at receiver. He has a massive catch radius. He can work above smaller corners. He can post up defenders. He can make quarterbacks right even when the ball location is not perfect. And that is super valuable because not every throw from the football is going to be clean. Sometimes the pocket collapses. Sometimes the timing is late. Sometimes the window is tight. Duff gives quarterbacks a chance to make a play because of his catch radius and his ability to, win the contested catch. He won 22 of 36 contested targets. That's outstanding. That's one of the best contested catch profiles in the country. And it's the foundation for his evaluation. Some receivers are big, but they do not play big. Duff plays big. He understands timing. He understands leverage. He understands how to shield defenders. Understands how to use his frame. And he understands how to attack the ball late so defensive backs can't play through his hands. And that is a real skill. Contested catching is not just jumping. It's timing, body control, hand strength, and positioning. And Duff has shown without a doubt he has that. Duff plays like someone who understands how to use his body. And that's where the basketball style language, applies, the above the rim, the box out. Because it's essentially what he does. He literally will box out like it is a rebound attempt against a smaller corner. And that creates, opportunities. The intermediate routes are his sweet spot. Seams, digs, end breaks, routes where he can use his tempo, size, and positioning. That's important because if he were only a red zone jump ball player, the projection would be so much narrower. He'd be so much lower. But Duff can work in the middle of the field. He can find space. He can learn. He can lean into defenders. He can use tempo. And he can create windows and routes that matter on third down, especially in zone. Give this man a cushion to sit in zone, and he is darn near unstoppable. Watch the Penn State game. 5 catches, 3 of those are contested wins, and a touchdown. And it's a game that Rutgers needed. It matters because that they knew you were the guy. and you still won. Penn State knew where the ball was going to go. They had physical defensive backs. They had Big Ten size. And Duff still made plays in traffic. He's not always going to separate by 5 yards, but he can win the hard catch. He can make a quarterback comfortable throwing into tight windows, and he converts contested catches the majority of the time he has them. Nobody's perfect. I will always say, I've said it in every single one, nobody's perfect. First thing is the long speed. Duff has average to below average long speed for the position. He's not a true burner. He's not going to consistently run away from NFL defensive backs. And that matters for projection, because if you can't threaten vertically with speed, you have to win with technique, size, timing, and route detail. While Duff can do a lot of that, the athletic limitation is real. He's not going to win like Eric Singleton Jr. He's not going to win like a track speed receiver. He has to win his way. Another concern is the run after the catch production. There's not much of it. Most of the time, the catch is the end of the play. That limits his ceiling moving forward, because the best wide receivers don't just make a good catch on the football, they create after it. They turn slants into explosive plays. They break tackles. They force bad angles. And they turn short throws into chunk plays. Duff is not that type of player right now. He's more of a catch point winner, than an after catch creator. He's not a yak monster at all. He also doesn't get a lot of separation in press man. Duff's separation is very technique dependent. And that means the details matter. The release plan, the hand uses, the tempo, the footwork, the leverage manipulation. If he wins those details, he can create enough space. If he does not, NFL length can tighten those windows. And that's something that makes 2026 so important for him, is he needs to show he can beat physical Big Ten corners with more than just size. Duff chose to return to Rutgers, and that gives him a chance to answer the biggest question moving forward for him, because the checklist is very clear. Show more separation against press, keep winning contested catches, create more after the catch, prove that the Purdue game was not just a 1 week explosion, keep scoring touchdowns, and show that the Big Ten corners cannot take away your best trait. If Duff has another year against the physical coverage of the Big Ten, the NFL is going to respect it. If he puts up another 1,000 yards, a 6'6" size elite contested catch production receiver with over 1,000 yards in multiple years is not going to get ignored. Never happened. But he has to prove that the athletic limitations will not shrink the role too much. We need some balance to it. Currently, he is sitting at an 8.8 out of 10, making him my 58 overall, wide receiver 5. He's massive, contested. He's a massive contested catch receiver with, strong hands, red zone value, and a clear role. The question is not the production, 60 catches, 1,084 yards, and 7 touchdowns. Only the 7th player ever to do it. 22 of 36 contested targets. That That's unquestionable. The question is, the concerns are, well, not even a question. The concerns are the long speed. It's average to below average. Can you make plays after the catch? Because that's currently limited. And can you create press man separation? The size is special. The production is real. And if KJ Duff keeps winning through contact in 2026, he's going to make the NFL take him seriously. But that's just my word. What do you think about KJ Duff? Is he one of the best contested catch receivers in college football? Can he climb higher than wide receiver 5 on your board? Can he climb higher for me? I don't know. I got to see some things. How much do you value a 6'6" receiver who may not run away from people, but keeps winning and keeps catching the ball anyways? Drop your thoughts in the comments down below. If you enjoy these player evaluations, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and follow. Because we're going to have over 100 prospects before the end of before we get into the college football season. As always, I'm Draft Yoda, Bill Workman, your favorite draft nerd's favorite draft nerd. We'll catch you guys in the next one.